And I just wondered if you could do a bit of an intro, because for people that are watching, I know quite a few might recognize you, but for those that don't, you are the founder of not one, but 3 businesses, plus mum to 2 young boys. So you are juggling a lot. So yeah, if you could, yeah, well,
everywhere.
Well, I think that's the realities, isn't it? Of trying to do it all. But I mean, yeah, if you could just say hi and maybe explain how you went from the court, because you were in events management before, how you sort of went from that into business founder.
Yeah, so it's something I never really expected, actually. I never thought I would ever set my own business. I was always quite happy. I was in events, I was in my role for quite a few years. I'd never be the person to kind of go for promotion or put myself out there. I was very happy, like coasting. I always thought I'm just going to be doing this forever. And then I became pregnant with my son, and I just felt, I don't know what it was. I remember saying to my colleagues around me, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to set up a business. And they were like, okay, yeah. Like, all right, she's obviously a bit mad. She's
Good luck.
Yeah, okay, I don't know. I was like, yeah, I don't know what it is. I've just got this real urge, and then I had him, and I like, it was absolutely insane, and I found it really difficult when he was a baby. I didn't necessarily, I don't think, had postnatal depression, but I think I was definitely on the kind of brink of that, and I found it really difficult. So when I kind of got over that a little bit and he started to get older, I started to figure out what was I going to do, and I put in a flexible return to work request, and it was basically denied. There was kind of no flexibility around it, around helping me, or meeting me halfway. And I'd been there for nearly 9 years at this point, and I just thought, you know what, like, if you can't bother to make the effort, then I'm just going to hand in my notice.
And it's just so frustrating, and it happens so often.
I know, and now I'm like, at the time I didn't really know anybody who that happened to, and now I'm like, that my story is not unique, and if anything, it's not as bad as at all compared to some of the women I've heard from. So I kind of had an idea of, I was meeting other mums in the area, and I had a like a 6-month-old baby, and I thought, there isn't really anything for mums. It's all to do with the baby. It's always like baby classes, and I don't want to talk about babies, and they're boring, and
there's only so much nappy talk you can do, or weaning, or
I wanted to like meet other women and just chat about life, and not always the children. And I really felt like I'd lost my identity and my sense of self, and I just wanted to get some of that back. So I thought I would organise events, because that's kind of what I knew how to do, but with a little bit of a twist, in where we'd basically have prosecco and most of that was like,
that's what gets you through, isn't it?
I just wanted to, basically I'll just set up a business around this. So it was called Milk and Fizz, and it was basically, the idea was just to organise events for mums who were feeling a little bit lonely and isolated, wanting to meet other women. And we had stuff on like body confidence and career development, and all kinds of stuff, and we got speakers coming in to talk about different things, and I absolutely loved it. But what was happening, I was meeting other women who were in a similar position to me, who were also setting up their own business or thinking about it, because they were in similar positions and not being able to go back to their kind of corporate role. And I did a few events where we'd have like exhibitor stands and things, and what I was finding was, I was chatting to some of the women, and they were just really put off by a lot of like the local networking groups that were around. They didn't really feel like it was for them. It was very, they either started at like 7:30 in the morning, and which also no mums can really go to, because you're doing school run and stuff. So it's mainly men in suits, and it was all a little bit networky and a bit awkward, and business cards and 60-second pictures. So I just thought, there needs to be something a little bit more informal, kind of a little bit more what we're doing with Milk and Fizz, but on the business side, and obviously not drinking all the time. So I, about 8 months into Milk and Fizz, I set up, which at the time was called Milk and Biz, because I obviously wasn't very inventive with my names, but I'll just change the name slightly. And it worked. It was for women who were either setting up their own business or had already been running one. It was basically a networking group, but more of a community. So we hosted workshops and co-working events and things like that. And that's kind of how it happened, really. So it again wasn't one of those things where I planned. I was like, right, I always want to do this. I kind of just figured out what I enjoy doing, met people who I enjoyed kind of spending time with, and kind of built something around that, which I know isn't always, the easiest way to do things, but that's kind of how it happened, really.
But would you say that that's quite fundamental, that you've got that passion and it really aligns with your values and what you want to do? Because it's so tough, isn't it, running your own business?
If you don't love it, it's just, I don't think it's gonna, you'll just get sick of it. And if you've got to really love it, and you've got to have that passion, because when it is really crap and when you're having those shit days, that's what gets you through, because you love it so much. So I do, and people always say, like, pick something that you're passionate about, that you absolutely love, because that's the thing that's going to drive you. So yeah, I would definitely say, if you don't love it, you're probably not going to get that excited about it. It's like people that are in, corporate jobs still, and they don't enjoy their job, so they don't really have that motivation. But when you love it and you're really passionate, you're more likely to, do the best, I suppose. But
and then Milk and Biz has sort of got bigger and evolved into the Kindred now, hasn't it?
So I changed the name. I wanted something, because I feel like I'm all about community and connections and building relationships, and I do think it's like the absolute center of everything I do. And I think when you're building a business, having support and community and a network around you is one of the best things, fundamental things I think really you should do above anything else, like strategy and sales and stuff. I think that's absolutely at the core. So I changed the name last year, and then we kind of rebranded it as the non-networking network, because I've been kind of calling it that for a while, but never really saying it out loud. And I remember speaking to like a messaging expert. She was like, that's what you need to call it, because that's going to attract people that don't want to do the normal networking. So and actually, because I completely missed it last week with what's going on, but we've been running now for 4 years last week. So yeah, it's just it seems like 100 years, but also a week at the same time.
Some days it's like, I've just started, and the others is like,
So 4 years now, which is really amazing, really. So
and then and then just because you haven't got anything else to do, Danielle, you're now having taken more ideas and inspiration from the Kindred to throw something else in the mix.
I can't help myself. I don't know about, like, I literally go and I'm just like, my mind is just constantly like, and I can't. And I always used to meet people that had like, they'd be like, oh, I did this business and I did this, and I'd be like, oh, you're just like jack of all trades, but I get it now. I get it, because once you have an idea for something, you're like, I can do lots of different things. Obviously, I would advise doing all these things at the same time, but because with the Kindred we started co-working when we first did it 4 years ago, and we were meeting in like cafes and restaurants and hotel lobbies and things like that to go and co-work, because we didn't want to pay expensive co-working spaces. So we started co-working, and it was really popular, and obviously we went into lockdown, and luckily we were online before that. And then people joined us from all across the UK. And then when we came out of lockdown again, people saying, oh, I want to do co-working, but obviously you're in St Albans. So we started opening up pubs across the UK, and we'd get hosts to do co-working. And then I started getting more people saying, oh, I'm in Liverpool, I'm in Sheffield. And I was like, oh, I can't
be everywhere.
I can't be everywhere. Like, finding the right person to host was really difficult. So I thought, then it must be an easier way of people, like, taking me out of the equation and letting people kind of create their own communities and their own networks and their own meetups and stuff. So I had the idea of creating an app where you could go on and actually book a space near you locally where you could go and work, and it was all kind of based around the flexibility that a lot of women needed, because they didn't typically work the 9 to 5 day a week. And they were, a few hours here on between school drop off or between meetings and stuff. And again, they didn't want to pay expensive co-working spaces. So the idea is you can book somewhere where you can work from locally within your local area, but then you can also go and meet and connect with other women in your area that you can co-work with. We're going to host events and things. So I'm taking a little bit of what we've done with the Kindred over the last 4 years, but kind of centralizing it, and also giving you the option to go and work on your own as well as with other people. So that's the next thing.
That's the next bit, and that's WRKHERE, isn't it? That's
WRKHERE.
And I suppose, would you say one of the key things is, or one aspect of working for yourself and starting your own business, is that it can be quite lonely? And 100%. So you know, the Kindred and Work Here is a way to connect and not feel, you know, because you could lose a week working at home and not be able to
100%. Yeah, I think, thinking about it now, like all three of the businesses are all centered on bringing people together in some shape or form. Because I did feel like I remember in my old job, I was like, I can't wait to work from home, and our managers never used to let us. It was always like, oh, maybe, you know, it's always like, we're watching you. So it was such an amazing thing to work from home, and now obviously everyone is working from home, but the novelty soon wears off, and you do feel really isolated and lonely. And I sometimes, obviously, I want to be on my own and do my own thing and be introverted, but I love meeting other people, and I think I get a different energy from being around others, and it just makes you feel a bit more productive when you know other people are sitting there working and you're sitting there working. I think you pop into the fridge every so often. So I definitely think that isolation is a massive part, and you know, it massively affects your mental health. I think lockdown, you know, obviously hit us all really hard, and we couldn't get out of the house. And I think we're still now in that phase of we can get out of the house, but we're just still stuck in that, oh, I might as well just stay here because I don't know where else to go and work. So trying to get you out of that.
And that, like you said, the non-networky side of it, because it can, for some people, it can feel hard to get out there. Like you might have lost your confidence, or even though you are so passionate and up for starting your own business, you know, walking into a group of people or networking, you might not feel confident doing that, you know, or even confident asking a question about your business and putting it out there. Whereas if you're with a group of people that are all in the same boat,
or that you already know, you've already connected with in some shape or form, that really helps as well. I still hate, I mean, I have to go to networking events now that I'm like putting myself out there a bit more and doing stuff, and there are some that I go to and I'm just like, I don't like this, I really don't like this, like I feel very, and they're usually the ones that where you have to wear the name badges.
It's quite,
like, I don't like this is why I'm talking to them and go, well, I'm doing something opposite to this, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll go, like follow me out the door. But you know, it is scary putting yourself out there and doing those things. So I think finding other people that you can go with or that can relate to that, because I think so many people are in that same boat as well.
And it's, I mean, I know that I as well, when I left the corporate world, my identity was so wrapped up in that job and who I was pre-mum. So then afterwards it was like, oh, you know, my confidence took a real hit.
It's weird.
And I think that's a lot of things. I'm just gonna pop back and just see if we've got any questions. I'll come back to you, Danielle, 1 second. If anyone has got any questions as we're going, please feel free to ask. This is when I need 2 screens, or to be better or better at technology.
No, we don't need to be better.
There's something I need to work this out in a better way.
Add it to
so if you've got any questions for Danielle as we go, or if you've got a business that you want to tell us about that you're starting up, I mean,
I love a brainstorm. That's like
I mean, in the current climate, are you still like, do you still have moments of like, this is definitely the right thing to do versus being back in corporate?
100%. I think, and we did an event recently actually of a lady called Ray Dodd. I don't know if you, money mindset coach. She's amazing, and she, I think was something she said is, you know, when you are working for yourself, you have the flexibility to create new products or services, to kind of make your own money. I know it sounds easy, but you have that flexibility to do that. Whereas if I was working for my old job, I kind of had my set salary and we didn't really get bonuses or anything like that. So it was, you know, the same. And I think sometimes it feels safer, but I don't feel like any job is it's like safe. And even if it's something where you're like maybe doing something on the side, so if you're having that. And when I first set up Milk and Fizz, I did some freelancing, and I did some like part-time. I got like a part-time work at a charity, so just to kind of tide me over, so that some money was coming in. Because obviously I was going from like maternity leave pay, and then I was like, what am I doing? So I do think having some some sort of backup if you are feeling a bit like, let me just test this out first. But I definitely think in the current climate, it's giving me more potential, I think, to grow. But
because everyone's circumstances are different, but I think I certainly feel like I was taught that you get the job, you stay with the job, it's the safe thing to do.
The pension and all of that
and I think but actually, that's kind of keeping us kind of a bit small, maybe, and in our box. And whether you've got, when you've got children, I think that often changes things, because I certainly couldn't have gone back to the job I was in with 2 children. And even if you haven't got children, if you want to have flexibility, if you just, even as women, like, around your energy and your cycles, and if
we're not meant to be. And I think there's another lady, I can't remember her name, Jo, who does the Merry Menopause podcast. I don't know if you've spoken to her. She talks about we're on a 24-hour clock rather than a 9 to 5 clock. That's a very kind of masculine. We're not like that because of our cycles and things. We're not always as productive from like the 9 to 5 hours. We're very much like, depending on our cycle where we are.
Well, I used to be an evening person, but now my energy seems to have totally gone in the evening.
Me as well. I'm honestly, I used to work quite a lot in the evenings. Now I'm just like, put the kids to bed, I'm just like, I just want to sit on the sofa and watch Married at First Sight.
Or I'm the same, or I'm falling asleep in bed with the kids, which is even less of an evening. So if you were starting out again, well, you kind of are, but right at the beginning, you're just throwing another one in there.
This is the last one.
Starting out right at the beginning, is there anything that you would do differently, or support you'd go for, or anything you'd say to yourself?
Differently, I wouldn't do anything massively differently. The only thing I do talk about, when I first did Milk and Fizz, I remember one of my first events, I got like the most expensive venue, and I spent a lot of money on that event, and the return on that wasn't that great. And I kind of knew that at the time, because I thought, well, this will actually help in other ways. But I think with the money side of things, and because I had my freelance stuff at the time, I didn't sit and work out, right, okay, how much money do I need to be making over the next few months? I was kind of just seeing how it happened, and then I think it was only after like the first 9 months I was like, right, I actually need to start planning like the financial side of this, because if I want to continue with this, it needs to be making like enough money. Even like my goal was to make as much money as I was working when I was employed. So that if I've got to get to, I've got to actually sit down and plan it. But I think it's very hard when you're first going into that, and because I wasn't really planning it. But I do think having, it's not a hobby. You need to, if you're going to do this, you need to like really figure out how much money do I need to, not just survive on rival, make more money than having a bit more of a plan. But it's one of those things, you don't know what you don't know. I think you have to figure it out. But I think I would change anything else actually, because I hate the word a journey, but well, it is a journey, because when you're starting out, you don't have all of the answers, do you? And you can't straight away go in all guns blazing and make the mega no one
bucks.
teaches you this. No one teaches you when you're at school this kind of stuff. It's all like,
And you do cover that as well with the Kindred membership, don't you, that you bring in experts, so even if people are sort of at the earlier stages, they can learn from others in the community.
100%, because nobody knows what they're doing, really. Like nobody knows. Well, I don't think I've met one person that really knows what they're doing. Everyone's got like their expertise in one area, but we're all figuring it out.
But then as things change, you need the next bit, don't you?
Exactly, because then you say, someone else, I've done that, I can advise you on that, or I can help you, I could send you to somebody who can help you, and we're all just kind of helping each other, because we're all at different stages, we're all figuring out how it works for us. But you definitely need to be around people that are like a few steps ahead of you, so you can kind of get their advice. Definitely, that has definitely helped, I think.
And how do you juggle it with the children?
I honestly don't. Like, I just wing it a lot of the time. I'm dropping balls everywhere. I think I said to you, like, the crowdfunding thing that I'm doing at the moment has taken over my whole brain space. And like, even I dropped my youngest off at preschool this morning, and she looked at me like, "I'm not coming in." And I was like, "Oh, was I supposed to?" And apparently I had like a meeting with the key worker. I was like, right, another thing I've forgotten. And so I think, Steph Douglas, Don't Buy Her Flowers, always says it's like your work, like people say like work-life balance, but I think when you are running your own business, it's all one.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really separate it, because
No.
it is, especially if it's you're the one running it. So I think, if I'm really busy at work, I'm maybe then feeling guilty about not spending enough time with the kids, or if I'm like spending too much time with the kids, I might be like, let me go to work. So I just think it's about like not having the guilt. But I honestly don't think that I'm doing anything really well, because there's just too many things going on at the same time. But just being kind to yourself, I think, and accepting that it's completely normal.
Yeah, and I think that's probably how everyone is. Like, I don't think there's many people out there
they're lying if
doing it all. Yeah, that's what I've had to.
Or they're a robot.
Yeah. Or they've just got a whole army of people helping them run their life. I've had to resort to putting a whiteboard behind the kettle, because I'm always having a drink, with the things I really need to remember for each day.
Yes.
So that every time I see the kettle, I see the board, and I'm less likely, because otherwise it's
my memory is just horrendous. I just forget everything.
So and actually, so you just touched upon it there about the crowdfunder. So tell us about that, because I know also you are quite passionate about supporting women with funding as well, and that, because again, that's something that isn't taught to us. We aren't, there's not a lot of help out there, is there, or obvious help?
No, and I think again, longer term, I would love to do more stuff, but educational stuff with schools, and kind of empowering young girls to believe that they can run a business. It's not something that is so out of touch for them, and that's what, and like, it's saying it like but it's like not too busy. People think like, oh, it's a business, like I have to know, be really good at numbers and spreadsheets and things. But I think knowing actually what is possible and what they can do with stuff that they love and they're really good at. But there's a figure that's like 1% of funding goes to female founders or female-led teams. So when people are going for investment, only 1% actually goes to women, which it's kind of shocking, but it's not.
It's not. I know, sadly it's not, is it? That's the thing.
Story. And I've heard so many stories from women who have gone for investment, and it's not been the nicest experience of, asking, is your husband going to be running the company for you? And getting the receptionist to come into the room so that they're not the only women in the space, feel more comfortable. And there's just so many things, and I didn't feel comfortable with that at the stage, because building an app isn't something that's cheap. And I did consider investment, and I just thought, actually, before I go even down that route, the best thing for me to do is to test it out with the community first. And crowdfunding is a really great way. So crowdfunding, you don't just do, if you're doing like community projects, like, help build the school roof and stuff, there are businesses on there who are raising money. So it's a really great way of like testing out the product before you launch it, to get people on board, and to see if people want it really. Because if you put it out there and people are like, oh no, it's a bit rubbish, then you're not going to bother doing it. So I'm crowdfunding. It was 30 days, and I think I've got 12 days left, which is slightly terrifying.
It's all right. You can do it, Danielle. So I mean, if someone is watching this, how do you start? Like, how do you go about?
How do you start crowdfunding?
Yeah.
Well, so I was literally like, again, like, when there's so many things, you just get overwhelmed, don't you? Just don't start it. So I actually reached out to, I think, one of the freelance groups I was in, to say, does anyone know anyone who can help with crowdfunding? Because I thought I need someone. I always try and find an expert in something whenever I can't do it. I'm like, well, someone else needs to just tell me, and then I can. So I spoke to a lady who basically gave me like the different options of what platforms, because there's different platforms you can use. There's like Kickstarter, there's Seeders, there's Crowdfunder, and depending on what kind of fund crowdfunding you're doing, I'm going with rewards based. So when people pledge, they get a reward in exchange for a pledge. They get something for their money.
Yeah.
There's donation, so people just donate, they don't get anything back. And then there's equity, so they actually have a stake in your business. So I opted for the rewards one, but I'm gonna do, basically, no matter how this campaign turns out, hopefully it's successful, but I'm gonna do like a what I've learned type process and all of my kind of tips and stuff, and I'm going to do lots of stuff like that, because I think while I've been doing this, lots of people have reached out and said, oh, I'd be really interested in crowdfunding, and can you help me? So I think there's lots of people who could really benefit from it, but just don't really know where to start. So
because it seems quite overwhelming and quite daunting, I imagine,
really
especially when you've got that window of days.
It's all or nothing, and it's an all or nothing campaign. So it's, if I don't raise the money by the end of the campaign, then I don't get anything. So it's a bit of a risky one. I was advised to go that route.
Well, you like a challenge, Danielle, I think. I think we can agree that. And if people wanted to, if there's people that are working from home right now and think, oh yeah, I want to get on board with this, or also want to get involved with the Kindred, I mean, one of your rewards
is membership to Kindred. So the Kindred is specifically for women who are either thinking of setting up a business or running a business, because everything we do around that is supporting you build your business, basically. But Work Here is for any women who are working from home. So you could be running a business, or you could be working for somebody else, or you could be having a career break. So there's a mix. So we've got kind of two different, they're kind of sisters, I like to call them. Two separate businesses. But with Work Here, one of the rewards is membership to the Kindred. So you can pledge towards a month's membership.
Okay, and then there's other ways that you can either just get involved with either a Work Here membership or
there's different
pledges.
By tomorrow, is tomorrow Thursday? By tomorrow, most of 95% of the rewards will be on there, because you're kind of supposed to slowly release them all rather than just go all in. So there's access to the app once it's here, and it will be launching in Hertfordshire first. So there's access to the app. We're doing a Christmas party in St Albans in December, so you can get a ticket to that, and then we're going to have some hospitality businesses who are like donating like meals and hotels and drinks and things like that. So there's going to be lots of Christmas shopping list, basically.
Brilliant. And if anyone's watching that might work for a business that could be a venue or could be involved, I mean, is there like business opportunities to get involved or sponsorship?
There is sponsorship. I've just put the corporate packages on this morning. So if businesses, if we've got a similar kind of ethos and share the same kind of values, and they've got women working for them who they think would benefit from that, we'd love to kind of talk to businesses. So we've got corporate packages, and then if you work at a venue or a really good venue, what's going to happen with the app is members will recommend venues, and they can actually submit to be on there, or venues can submit themselves to be on there. So I want to hit, because obviously I know a lot of places, but I don't know all of them, so I want people to kind of recommend their favorite places to work from. But I'd love to hear from anyone really that can help with venues, and
that's got any ideas, and probably and then if there's anyone, because there's people in the group outside of Hertfordshire, if they've got any ideas as well. The next tranche.
Well, that's the thing, and the next place we don't yet have a plan of where we're going next. It will all depend on the people who are pledging. So if we've got lots of people based in one area, we'll go there next. So it's all very dependent on who wants it to come, really. So watch this space, I suppose.
Well, it's very exciting. And I'm hoping people are behind you. All right, here we go. I'm looking on here. We've got another fan of Ray Dodd here. Quite a few of us like Ray, don't we?
She's amazing. Every time I have an idea for something, I'll voice note her. I'll be like, so, can you?
Well, that's good. You've got a direct line.
I mean, she doesn't give me any advice, but she's just like, no, I'm busy that day. So
Danielle's back. Got another idea.
Another voice note. What does she want me to do now?
Okay, we've got it's quite a specific one here about setting up a business importing goods.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. I have to come back to you on this one. But
I'll find someone that knows.
yeah, but actually, Jess is asking us about working out the right price point. So you do have a few people like
Claire Morris is your lady for pricing. Yeah, Claire Morris, I think, is in the group. She
is in the group, so
she can help you with figure out what you should be pricing your products so you can make a profit. So I would definitely get in contact with Claire.
Yeah, we can tag Claire in if she's yeah, Tanya's saying, yeah, shocking stats there about the level of investment. Emma from Casitas says your crowdfunder sounds amazing. Danielle, yeah, we love what you're doing, Emma, with the
need to pop in
as well. Yeah, Natalie. Oh, good one, Natalie. So Natalie has set up a few businesses and she says, do you have any tips for getting over failures and feeling like you might be pivoting too often?
I think with the whole failure thing, I think that's so in my mind with the campaign, if I fail, if I don't make the money, then that's like I've failed. But I won't see it as that necessarily, because everything is a learning journey. I hate that word.
Yeah.
But you are literally like it's like someone always told me, like, running business is like a science experiment. You're like testing and seeing what works and changing things, and you can never do the same thing the whole time because nothing's ever going to change. And I think you need to pivot and work things out and adapt and ask your audience what kind of things do you want and can I change things. So I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think it's a good thing. And I think with a failure, I think it's just I think it just takes each time you fail, it's such a horrible word, isn't it? But I think it's a horrible word, isn't there? And there's a whole there's so many books and stuff on this. I can't think of the top of my head what it's called. It's growth mindset.
And Sarah, because Sarah Bramble's been talking about it last week in the group.
Used to be a teacher, yeah. I used to run her teacher conferences, so all the talks were about growth mindset and stuff. But it's just really, you can, and I think you can have a bit of a, like, oh, that was really annoying, like I'm annoyed about that. You can be in the moment and be a bit annoyed, and eat biscuits and cry and stuff. Like, you're allowed to do that, I think. But then you need to go, okay, what did I learn from that? How can I do things differently? And take it as it's a good thing. And I've listened to so many podcasts on entrepreneurship, it's ridiculous. And every single one of the ones I've listened to have all failed at some point. And if they wouldn't be where they were today if they hadn't failed. So I think you need to fail. You can't, it's not just going to be an amazing, climb up the mountain. So I think of it as,
because you've already done more than someone else might have had the guts to do. Even by trying. Like the brave thing, I said this on something else, the brave thing is to try and not know what the outcome is.
Take the risk. So failing is a good thing. If anything, you kind of want to fail. But I know it's bad, but you kind of need to, so you can, like,
because nothing's ever going to be perfect, is it? You're going to have to evolve, and life changes, like your values.
And the last few years have been nuts. Like they've been crazy, and we're still getting over the aftershocks of all of that, and so are our customers and stuff. So I think it's completely normal to kind of change things. I think it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all.
No, Natalie, we're behind you on the pivoting. No such thing as failure.
Friends with Ross.
Lovely. We've got you back. Don't worry. Okay, I don't think if there's any more that pop up in a minute, I'll have a look. I'm just looking at what else I wrote. It'd be good if I could speak what I wrote down, Danielle. So highs and lows quickly, Danielle, before I know you've got to get back to it to get on with the, but highs and lows for you of running your own business.
Oh God. What's a low? The lows of running my own business, I think it's a low and it's not. I think the way it just kind of consumes you sometimes. Like, I don't feel like I can switch off that much. I find that quite, like, don't get me wrong, I'm very good at being lazy. And like,
I don't think you could be described as lazy,
no, trust me.
Your definition might be slightly different to other people.
I'm honestly not one of those people that've got that. Seriously, If I could, I would just like I used to like lie in bed all the time and have long lie-ins. I'm quite happy not doing anything. Like I'm not one of those people that's like I have to be doing something all the time. You know, that I don't feel guilty for like sitting and not doing anything.
Yeah.
I do not feel guilty about that. I really enjoy it. But it's my brain. It's just the constant like, oh, I could do this. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
you've always got a new idea on stories or something, haven't you? You're like, oh, I've just thought of this.
Yeah, it's just the not being able to switch off, and I think that benefits you in some ways because obviously it drives me forward, but then it also it's a bad thing because I need to switch off, like if I'm with the kids or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I just need to check my phone. I'm constantly thinking of stuff, and that's really hard to just, and it doesn't always happen. I think it's maybe now because I'm in quite an intense period, I'm literally living and breathing it.
Yeah.
Hopefully when that, like at Christmas, I'll be able to kind of shut down a little bit, but I think it is that's a low in terms of like not being able to switch off. And then the high, I think just the people, like I always say this, but it's honestly, I could not have done anything that I've done without the support of the people around me, like the people that I met right at the early days with Milk and Fizz, to the members, people within my wider network, like especially with this campaign, if you're ever going to do a crowdfunder, you need that network behind you before you do it, because not only for people to support you with pledging and sharing, but just to give you that support and just be like, you know, you can do this, you're doing really well. And we've got like a WhatsApp group with the Kindred, and I'll post things in there and I'll get people saying, you're doing really well, like keep going and stuff, and like it's just little things like that make such a difference. So I think the highs for me has definitely been the amazing people that I've met, and like I've made some really, I mean, I speak to them more than I see my actual friends, like I'm just like, I think that's
but sometimes because they can relate, whereas often family and friends, if they don't run their own business, for them they just, you know, either it scares them, they don't get it, or
it's hard to, it's really hard. I mean, I'm going to put a post on my Facebook tomorrow being like, family and friends, you can pledge towards my campaign.
You can support me, guys. Hello.
Do you know what I'm doing? Hi. It's quite a big deal. Because most of my support has come from my people in my network, people that have no business. I don't think my mum's, I'm going to speak to her actually.
You're going to have to message her now.
My dad has. He's the only one that has that from my family and friends.
Well done. Well done, Dad.
But I do think the people, just surround yourself with the right people.
The right people is the best, is a good thing. Okay. And I think that's everything I'd written down. We've covered, and I'll put in all your links about how people can get involved and support you, either with the Kindred or the crowdfunder. Is there anything else you wanted to share, or that you had?
I've got a new idea for. No, I'm joking.
Don't do that. In the new year.
Oh God, don't. I don't think so. I mean, at the moment, I'm just like tunnel vision on this campaign right now. So everything else is not even reaching my brain. But I just think if people are thinking about it, or you know, considering it, then I think just go for it. I think there are so many people now that, because a lot of us are now working from home, we do have that option to maybe try something out and see how it goes, and just kind of have the faith, I think, because I think things do work out in the end. But I think finding the right people to support you is definitely the best thing, because it's not as scary then. It's definitely not as scary. But
and maybe, as you said, like have it not more than a passion project, but maybe have something else running alongside it, so you're not just making that massive leap whilst the world is still
have a bit of a plan. Have a bit of a plan. And if you want, I mean, obviously people can go into it if they want to have, you know, a hobby business or just do something on the side to bring in a little bit of extra money. But if you're going to change careers and settle a bit and use that as your like main income, you definitely need a little bit of a plan of how you're going to make the money, which is again something that's not taught. You know, we're not taught this kind of stuff. We just have to figure it out. So yeah, otherwise it's kind of like pointless really.
Yeah,
You're not making
yeah.
money from it. You have to love it, but you also need to like,
Need to
and
make-
that's okay. Like it's okay to want to make lots of
And
money.
it's okay to make money, as Ray would say.
Oh
Like,
my God, 100%.
yeah, the whole money mindset.
Step into more. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. I'm going to let you go because I know you've got so much probably still to do tonight.
I just want to watch TV now.
Oh, yeah. Watch a bit of TV whilst doing something else. If anyone is watching this on replay in the group, make sure, you just let us know, and I can always tag Danielle if she's got a spare minute to answer any questions at some point, or maybe after the madness of the crowdfunding.
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine. It helps actually. Sometimes it helps taking my mind off of it.
Okay, and I'm going to link all of your. Well, I'll link the crowdfunder in there and
thank you.
the Kindred site as well, and your social media links. You're mainly on Instagram, aren't you, these days?
Even though I'm loving LinkedIn right now. That's
oh yes, you are. Yeah.
Honestly, LinkedIn has been such a game changer. Just, it's not like, I kind of knew it was good. People have been telling me for years, actually needs to be on LinkedIn because actually it's, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
I have met so many people that I would never have met if I wasn't. I mean, I know it's a ridiculous thing to say, if I wasn't on there, obviously I wouldn't, but I just but like, people that wouldn't be on Instagram, that makes sense. I've been contacting like CEOs of businesses that I want to partner with, and like bigger companies, bigger businesses that I would never have been able to DM on Instagram.
Yeah. So again, that ties back to your thing about it's the people, it's the connections.
Oh, it's all, honestly, it's like not what you know, it's who you know. I honestly think, like, I think that is
and no stupid questions. Like, people want to help other people, don't they?
They really do. I always find, if you ask, I remember someone right at the beginning when I first set up said, if you're like thinking of doing something similar to what someone else is doing, and you're reaching out and asking them, like, could you give me a bit of advice? I'm just starting out and stuff. If they're not interested in talking to you or helping you, then actually it probably means that they're not doing so well. But the people who are doing well are happy to help you, and obviously they're the ones you want to talk to. But definitely reach out, because actually people quite like to help other people. They should like to help. If they don't, then obviously they're not very nice people. So they don't
find the people that do want to help.
Find the people that do want to help, because they genuinely do. They honestly do. And I think it is okay to ask for help, and it is okay to just say, look, can somebody help me, or does anyone know anybody that can help me with this? Because and what I've learned, again, I've learned so many things from this campaign, is that people are like really lovely, like so many people are really lovely and supportive and encouraging and great. There's only like a tiny percentage of people that aren't. So I do think, don't be afraid to kind of ask for help.
Brilliant. Thanks, Danielle. It's been lovely to chat. Wishing you all the best. I'll put all the links in. You're going to go and watch some TV. I need to go and wash this greasy hair, which I've just keep looking at in the camera. And thank you everyone that's been with us on Facebook. I will catch up with you soon. I might be appearing back in the Facebook group tomorrow live. So have a lovely evening, and thanks for watching. I'm going to stop the Facebook now, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.